Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Wednesday, April 6th edition of our video devotionals. And we appreciate you being with us today. Hope your Wednesday's going well. And we call this Winning Wednesday. And just a reminder that being saved, a child of God, that we're winners and we can live like that too. So we want to say also that it's the middle part of the work week and school week. So you're halfway finished, and then you got one more half to go. And then, of course, Wednesday evening Bible studies and church services and revivals going on and things like that. So attend if you can. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into things here today. 2 Samuel chapter 19. And we're going to look at a man by the name of Barzillai. He's not that well known, but we're going to talk about Barzillai today and give him a little bit of attention and talk about the good man that he was. But again, let me just say this. Thank you for all who watch these videos. Appreciate you very much. And we pray that we can continue to be a blessing going into our third year now. And so it's exciting, and we're encouraged, and hopefully you are too. Okay, so let me kind of give you the setting here as we're reading through the Bible, and we're looking at the life of David. Unfortunately, one of the really negative points in David's life was the betrayal of his son Absalom to his father and to his king, King David. So at this point where I've been reading today, Absalom, of course, his intentions are to obviously take over the kingdom. And it sounds like to me, with the counsel that he's getting, that he doesn't have any problem even taking the life of his own father, David. But that does not happen. And what I have written down here on my piece of paper, this is these chapters I read today is really about loyalty and disloyalty. And there was some things going on there. I'm just going to mention just a few here. There was some men that were to give counsel to Absalom. One was intended to kind of deceive him. The other was intended to kind of go along with him. And yet one was being loyal to Absalom. One was being disloyal to David. One was being loyal to David, and one was kind of playing into the hand of Absalom so that Absalom would not, obviously go through and take the kingdom and kill David. So you had that. Then David says, well, we're going to have to go up against our own people. And so an army was amassed on David's behalf. Absalom had his army. And David specifically says, look, I know you got to fight against the other soldiers. He says, but I want you to deal gently, kindly with my son. In other words, don't kill my son. Bring my son back, but don't kill my son. Now, Joab was a general. He heard that, but what does Joab do? Joab finds out that Absalom's hanging from an oak tree, and the man pointed that out. He says, well, why didn't you kill him? He says, cause I'm not going to kill him. The king says, don't kill him. And Joab says, well, I'm going to kill him. So he had Absalom killed hanging in that tree. And that was disloyal to David. David says, I don't want you to kill him. That was a command. That was an order by the king. And, Joab knew exactly how David felt about his own son, like anybody would, even though Absalom was in a bad place. But there's disloyalty. And then as the shift goes back and David and his men get the victory, then you had some people that had cursed David, like Shimei. He had cursed David, and David says no. He said to the guys around him. The guys around him wanted to take literally Shimei's head off. But Shimei represented, Saul's family. And he said, David says, no, let him curse. And later on, we'll talk about Shimei, what happens to him. But Shimei all of a sudden comes back and says, I want to change my mind. I want to be loyal to you. Mephibosheth, he was disloyal to start with. He didn't align himself with David. And Mephibosheth says, forgive me, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done what I did. And David says, you know what? Because I've made an oath with you, and we're going to extend basically kindness to Saul's family through you. David says, okay, in some uncertain terms, you're forgiven. We're going to forget that. Then this man by the name of Barzillai. This is a man that stood with David when David was not popular, when David was being attacked in the philosophical, spiritual, and even in the literal sense. Barzillai was an old man that says, I'm going to help David in his position that he's in. And here's what we're going to read here in chapter 19. I know we spent a little bit of time on all of that, but it says, and Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Jerusalem and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80. That means he was 80. And he had provided the king of sustenance while he lay at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man. And the king said unto Barzillai, come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. And then the rest of it goes basically, Barzillai says, I'm an old man. I can't offer you anything much more. He says, let me just go back to my city, and I'll die there. And he says, I'll be buried with where my father and my mother are. And then we get down to verse number 39. It says, and all the people went over Jordan, and when the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned into his own place. So, again, here's a story about loyalty and disloyalty. I've said this before. I've heard people speak about loyalty, preach about loyalty, and all of that. And obviously, loyalty to good people is an important thing. I believe that. I don't believe you have to be loyal to somebody just because you say, I'm loyal to them and no matter what. Well, you know what? If someone goes off the rails, spiritually speaking, then you don't have to go over the rails with them. And I'm saying that because loyalty is a good attribute. Loyalty is not where you have to say, you know what, blindly, I'm just going to do things, and whether they're right or wrong, I'm going to be loyal. I think loyalty is something where you're loyal to good people. You're loyal to principles. And in the case of Barzillai here's a man that says, I'm going to be loyal to David, not just because he said, I'm going to be loyal to David, but I believe Barzillai was loyal because he knew that David was being attacked. He knew that David was in the right. He knew that Absalom was wrong. And the popular movement of the day would have been to go with Absalom. Everybody would have thought, well, Absalom's going to take care of old King David, and because David's going to die, then we're going to align ourselves with somebody that, because we see an outcome that we think is going to happen, whether it's right or wrong. And I believe you can be loyal. I believe, as in this case here, Barzillai was loyal to David. I think he realized he was God's man. I think he realized that David was right in his position, even though it looked kind of bleak and grim for David. But he said, I'm going to stick with you, and I'm going to help you. That's what Barzillai did. And that's why David was so moved by Barzillai, and he had this great affection for him. You know why? Because he says he knew what kind of loyalty he was given. He was given loyalty because Barzillai was being loyal to right. He's been loyal to God. He's been loyal to God's man. And I think that's something that needs to be done today. There are people, they'll say one thing to you and that they believe another or they'll act another. I always appreciate loyalty. I don't expect it just because, of who I am. I really don't. But I believe when people stick with you and people honor you, people do things even when you're not around, and they know this is what you would choose to do, not say, well, I'm going to do this and they'll never know this, or and things like that. There's disloyalty. There's no doubt about it. But people that are loyal to right, loyal to principles, loyal to people that are principled, people that are doing the right thing, no matter the shift, good or bad, no matter what it looks like. When people say, you know what, I'm sticking with you no matter what because I know you're right, and I'm gonna be with you. I'm gonna be in your corner, and that's the kind of people that we all appreciate. You just take the political world, people that are loyal to people that love this country and trying to do the right thing, no matter if it's popular, no matter if people won't vote for you, but you say, I've got a stance that I'm gonna take, not just to get a vote, but I'm gonna take it because I think it's right. I think it will help people. If I get the votes, great. If I don't get the votes, then so be it. But I'm going to try to do the right thing. When people are loyal to people like that's a wonderful thing, and that's what we need, both in the secular world and certainly in the spiritual world. We need people that are loyal. And sadly, there was a lot of disloyalty there. There's some loyalty, of course, and of course David was avenged of, sadly, his enemy Absalom. And those people that align themselves with him. So I hope you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow on Trusting Thursday. And we do hope you continue to be safe, and God's blessing you, and stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow.